Hi there. Well, we have another forgotten impact weapon to look at today. And, when I say forgotten with all of these, it depends on, to what degree. But for the most part, I don't think many people remember that Native American warriors would use one version of the tomahawk that was basically this. And I am holding a buffalo jawbone. It didn't have to be buffalo, as you can imagine. It could be horse. I saw some old accounts where they called it an ox jawbone. I mean, it probably just depends, but as long as it was right size, it'll get the job done. So this is one of my candidates for most wicked-looking weapon of all time. And remember that before Europeans arrived, there really wasn't metalworking in general. So you had stone mallets, right? You had flint, that kind of thing. So bone was a pretty decent material because you could sharpen it, and that's what they would do. They would sharpen the striking end. You see I'm holding it there? And it's got a curve to it. It's kind of works out pretty well. It's basically a bone meat cleaver, so it's going to do the job. And I did read one account where it was hard to understand the description, but they said it could cut through the chest of an enemy. I don't know exactly what that means, but I do know it means you could kill them. You've heard me in other videos blather on about how much I love Native American weapons, and one of the reasons is they would decorate them, even though you're depending on your life, but have this great aesthetic and kind of mythological component, so they wouldn't just walk around with it like this. This is the example I was holding. And you get things like this, and this is kind of somewhat plainly decorated, right? You get more than this, and notice the teeth on there, so that was traditional, and notice the handle there. There's a natural handle, so that's the one way to use it, but you also find these out there, right? So it's being used with more of a traditional shaft. This one's been sharpened to a point, as you can see, kind of like a spontoon tomahawk, but you'll also see them where that wasn't done, so just the natural curvature forms kind of an axe blade. Of course, I need to get a real one at some point. Here I'm just actually holding an animal part that I happened to find, because I live in Texas, so there was one. And I'll have links in the description to the Native American craftsman who made the two examples that I used pictures of. So here it is from this view, and you can see why this would work as a weapon. You get that, God, it looks great, but you get this reduced striking surface, right? It's kind of blade thin, it's going to slice through the air, and you're hitting with that edge. You sharpen it up, and, you've got extra damage. This is somewhere between an impact weapon and an edged weapon, because obviously it's not going to be exactly razor sharp. It was really hard to find accounts of the effectiveness of these, so like that one about the chest, I have no idea how exaggerated it was, and I had no points of comparison, really. But handling one of these, I can tell you, it feels legit. I think this would be quite effective, and they're big for one reason. So here it is sitting on my lap so you can get an idea, just in case the hand picture was a little deceptive. Thing's massive. Bone is, of course, nowhere near as dense as stone, which would have been a competing material, like I said, but handling it, I can tell you, it felt enough like I could feel the fatigue in my wrist from just holding it for a little while, rotating it. It just felt like a quality weapon. There's a really famous instance of this weapon, or one like it, being used in the Western imagination, like European, at least it used to be, and that's this here. So here's a Renaissance painting of Samson, the Bible strongman, and he, we are told, slew 1,000 enemies with the jawbone of a donkey that he grabbed and just started wielding. If nothing else, I think that speaks to the fact that, the North American continent wasn't the only place that it was realized this could be a weapon. So you see that it's there on the bottom left in a completely different episode from his legend. So here's killing the lion, and you can see the donkey jawbone lying there. It's even got the teeth left in place, just like the Native American version. Speaking of the teeth, from what I read, they were polished sometimes, right? So you get a nice get a nice shine on there. Boy, they add to the intimidation factor in my mind. There's just something primal about seeing them there, and the bone too just has a really cool look to it. Just these bleached bones just kind of imply death. I think there's something just naturally intimidating about it. So there's the striking surface. You can see where you've got room to shave down if you're going to do that and create kind of that cutting edge. That swept back shape is really interesting too. I think there was an attraction to that in this part of the world with the indigenous warriors because the gunstock club or rabbit leg club did the same. Now, I don't know if anybody ever used it this way, more like a comma, like a sickle. The teeth wouldn't do much, but like that hooking, I think you've got some cool applications there. You hook the back of their leg behind the knee with that and push with the other hand, they're going to the ground, and then you can finish them off. The Jawbone War Club was a potent symbol in the native mind, too. I found examples of, war dances being done with it, like in a real purposeful way when they're trying to intimidate, a visiting pioneer. And medicine men would use it as well. And it's kind of interesting. One of the things they would do with it is use the teeth for kind of a rattle. So they didn't explain this in the literature I saw, but I'm assuming you take a stick of some kind and run it up and down those teeth, and you've got a kind of a death rattle musical instrument. Really cool. Hope you enjoyed learning a little bit about and seeing just a fascinating piece of North American ethnographic weaponry.